and gentlemen, we are looking at notes 4.4, which is on finding equations of lines, day 2. And the first question asks you to find the equation of a line that passes through -4, 5, and 4, 7. And then we also need to graph the line. So in order to be able to do this, the first thing we need to do is identify the fact that we need to find the equation. So if we want to find the equation of a line, that means we have to do y equals mx plus b. Well, we need two things. We need the slope and we need the y-intercept. Do we know either piece of information? No, we don't. So let's go ahead and figure out both pieces of information. So if I'm given 2 points, how am I going to find the slope? Well, you guys already learned last unit what to do for that. You just use the slope formula, right? So to do this right here, all I'm going to have to do is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Means that this -4 is going to be x1, this 5 is going to be y1, this 4 is going to be x2, and this 7 is going to be y2. This is all review for you. So when I plug in my information in the numerator, I'm going to get 7 minus 5, because y2 is 7 and y1 is 5, over x2 is 4 minus x1 is -4. So 7 minus 5 is 2. 4 minus -4 becomes 4 plus 4. So I get 2 over 8, which simplifies to 1/4. So I know that my slope is 1/4. So my slope is no longer a mystery. Now I need to figure out, well, what's my y-intercept? Well, in order to be able to do that, we're just going to do it exactly how we learned in the last video. So I know y equals mx plus b is the equation of a line, and I'm going to take my slope and I'm going to replace it with the m. So I'm going to say y equals 1/4 x plus b. Okay, I'm just going to move this up a little so we have a little bit more room. So then all I have to do is take a point and plug it in, and I can choose which point I want to plug in. So I'm going to choose 4, 7 because it doesn't have negatives in it, so it's easier for me to deal with. So I'm going to plug in 7 for y equals 1/4 times 4 is going to go in for x plus b. Okay, so then I'll get 7 equals, well, 1/4 and 4 will cancel each other out, so I just get 1 plus b, subtract the 1 from both sides, so I end up getting b equals 6. So b is no longer a mystery. I know my m, I know my b, so I know my answer is going to be y equals 1/4 x plus 6. Okay, now one thing I just want to clarify really quickly is the fact that it doesn't matter which point you plug in, you will still get the answer of 6 for b. So let's say I were to plug in the other points instead. So I would say y equals, still my slope is 1/4, so y equals 1/4 x plus b, and every time I see an x here, if I'm going to use this coordinate, I'm going to plug in -4, and every time I see a y, I'm going to plug in 5. So I'm going to say 5 equals 1/4 times -4 plus b. 4 and -4 cancel out to give me -1. Add the 1 to both sides, and I get 6 equals b, so I still get 6 is my answer right here. So it's up to you which one you want to use. You can use either one, okay? So now let's go ahead and graph this out. So this starts at 6, and then the slope is 1/4, so I'd go up 1 and to the right 4. Now remember, if I don't have enough room to go up 1 and to the right 4 again, I can always go down 1 and to the left 4, because if I go down 1 and to the left 4, the double negatives cancel each other out to become a positive. Okay, so this is going to be my line right here. I'll go ahead and connect my dots. So right here, this is my line. Let me just fix it up right here. Make sure you're using some type of a straight edge. So here's what we have for our line. We'll make it purple, and we'll make sure that we have arrows on both ends of our lines. Do not forget to write the equation on the line, so y equals 1/4 x plus 6 should go on the line. Now I want to verify that it really is the right line. So it should go through the point 4, 7, which it does, and it also goes to the point -4, 5, which it does, so I know I did it correctly. Okay, so that's one method. I want to show you another method, which is actually a method that you already know how to do. So we'll talk about that in the next section of our video right here. Okay. So another option to figure this out is we still need to figure out what the m is, and we still need to figure out what the b is, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place these coordinates into a table of values. So I've got x and I've got y. And I know that this is -4, and I know that this is 4. And -4 matches up with 5 for y, and +4 matches up with 7 for x. So I'm going to do my change in y, and I see that my change in y is going up by 2, and my change in x is going up by 8. So my slope is the change in y over the change in x, which is 2 over 8, or just simply 1/4, which is exactly what we got here. But the question is, what's my y-intercept? Well, if I work backwards, I want to figure out my y-intercept is going to occur when x is 0, right? So I'm going to fill in 0 right here. And if I notice right here, this goes up by 4, this goes up by 4. So this is halfway in between. So what's halfway in between 5 and 7? It's 6. Therefore, my slope is, my y-intercept is 6. Okay? And then the last method that we have in order to figure this out is to just graph it out, right? So if I were to graph out my points and see what would happen, this is what we would get. So we know that it's going to pass through the points -4, 5, as well as 4, 7. Okay? So when I see my line right here, I can see that it starts at 6, so therefore my b value is 6 right here. And I can also see that it went up 1 and it went to the right 4. So my slope is 1/4. Or I can see it as it going up 2 and to the right 8. So I would get 2 over 8, which reduces to 1/4. So we have a bunch of different methods to be able to find the equation of this line. All right, let's get to practice with number 2. Find the equation of a line that passes through 3, 1, and 5, -3, graph the line. So we're going to do the same thing. We need to do y equals mx plus b. And we're going to solve for m, and we're going to solve for b. And we're going to use our first method because that's the one that is new, so I want to get some practice with that. So to find m, just like we said before, you have to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I know that this 3 is x1. I know that the 1 is y1. I know that the 5 is x2, and that the -3 is y2. So I'm going to do -3 minus 1 over 5 minus 3. So when I subtract 1 from -3, I get -4, and 5 minus 3 is 2, so I get -2. So I know my slope is -2. When I graph my line out, I need to make sure that my line is going down from left to right. Okay, so now to find my b value, I'm going to use y equals mx plus b. Okay, and we know that our m is -2. So every time I see an m, I'm going to replace it with a -2. So I'm going to say y equals -2x plus b. And then I can choose any coordinate I want and plug it in. So I'm going to choose 3, 1. So every time I see a y, I'm going to replace it with 1. Every time I see an x, I'm going to replace it with 3. And then I'm going to write plus b. So now when I multiply these guys together, I get 1 equals -6 plus b. Add the 6 to both sides, and I end up getting 7 equals b. So my b is no longer a mystery. I know that my b is 7. So therefore, my final equation is going to have to be y equals -2x plus 7. Okay? So let's go ahead and graph this out and see if it really goes through these points. So I know it starts at 7 because that's my y-intercept. And my slope is -2 over 1. So it's going to go down 2 and to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1. And I'm just going to keep going down 2 and to the right 1. Then I'm going to connect my dots with a line. So my line will look like this. Okay? And I'm going to make sure that my line has arrows on the end of it. Okay? And that the equation is written on my line. So y equals -2x plus 7 goes right on my line. And lastly, I'm going to make sure it goes through these 2 points. So 3, 1, if I go to 3, 1 right here, I've got 3, 1. It's a point on my line. So we're 50% sure it's right. Notice if I go to 5, 3, it's not, sorry, 5, negative 3, it's not exactly a point on my line, but it's really close. If I were to keep going with the trend of going down 2 over 1, you'll notice right here, so down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, you'll notice my line is off. So you have to be extra careful when you're drawing your line, and you don't want to make the mistake that I did and not have a totally accurate line. So the more points you put on your line, the better off you're going to be. Now when I look right here, it definitely goes through the point 5, negative 3, as well as 3, 1. So it goes through both points. I know it works, so I know this is my equation. So I'm done with this question. Okay? All right, I hope you have a great day. See you later.